campus. Teachers and students joined forces for the biggest gathering of anti-government protesters in the capital so far. And following the deaths of 2 protesters in previous demonstrations, security forces were under strict orders to ensure the safety of the demonstrators.
We are in one of the main squares of the capital, Sana'a, just outside the university, which has become the focal point of the pro-democracy movement. Now, thousands of students from the university are gathering on a daily basis. They would like to rally the support of everybody here in the capital and across the country to enforce their agenda of change. They would like to see President Ali Abdullah Saleh go.
It's the first time people here in Yemen, from all the parties, from all the institutions, they are coming here to say to this man, go out, nobody wants you here, and we want to live our freedom. We want to be free like others. 33 years are enough.
It's clear the calls for greater democracy are growing, so too are the president's opponents.
I have resigned in response to the revolution of the youth, demanding the fall of the regime and the dissolution of the parliament, which is also part of the regime.
And in Yemen's conservative society, women are also ready to explain their role.
Could you tell us why you're here?
For one demand, that is the demand of everybody in this gathering, is to ask the regime, Ali Abdullah Saleh, to leave the country and to leave the system.
And despite all the threats and the smear campaign by the official media, there is no sign of the opposition weakening. It's a sound that reflects their solid determination to keep on fighting for the end of what they see as an autocratic regime. Hashim Al-Bara, AlJazeera, Sana'a.
As foreign leaders continue to weigh in on the situation in North Africa, France's president is being criticized by his own diplomats. In an anonymous letter, the group of diplomats called Nicolas Sarkozy's recent foreign policy impulsive, amateurish, and preoccupied with the nation's image in the media. They say, quote, the policies adopted with regards to Tunisia and Egypt were defined by the President of the Republic without taking into consideration the analysis of our embassies. These policies chose to view Mr. Ben Ali and Mr. Mubarak as the southern pillars of the Mediterranean. Let's talk to Francois Ndegwe now, who is chairman of the African Advisory Board. It's very unusual for diplomats to step out of line and criticize the head of state like this, but from the perspective of the views that they outline, do you agree with them?
This is something really unprecedented indeed, and there is some case for what they're saying. And you just mentioned the issue regarding Hosni Mubarak and Ben Ali. I think this was really a great mistake from the foreign policy of France.
In what way?
I think that if you read what these former diplomats and even acting diplomats said in this paper published by the French daily Le Monde 2 days ago, they say that they have been doing their part of the jobs. They even talk about the WikiLeaks of the French sort of WikiLeaks, meaning that they have been sending accurate reports back to Paris regarding what was happening in Tunisia or in Egypt, and that the politicians, and mainly the French president, didn't take account of what they said. Basically, they're saying that they were right in the report on the writing about on the mistakes of the Ben Ali and Mubarak policies, but they were not heard. And you know what the blunder and sort of gaffe that the French foreign minister, Mrs. Alio Marie, made regarding Tunisia.
Yeah, this was with regard to sort of, you know, taking freebies from the governments over there, which got her into a bit of trouble, and also the Prime Minister too. But from the point of view of Nicolas Sarkozy, why would it have been in his interest to ignore the advice from those people on the ground in those countries?
And I think there is some mitigating reasons here. You know that most of the time people were afraid that instead of Ben Ali, you will have the Islamists. And this was also the fear behind some Western politicians regarding the support they gave to Hosni Mubarak in Egypt. And what we're seeing now is that this was not founded.
Thank you very much indeed. That's Francois Ndegwe giving us the insight on what's been happening in Paris with regard to the French diplomats and their president.
Thank you very much.
Take a little journey from Paris across La Manche, the English Channel as they like to call it, and the British courts approved the extradition of the WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange to Sweden, where he faces questioning for alleged sexual assault. He denies the suggestions and intends to appeal, he says, against the court's decision. Assange's lawyers say Julian Assange, who has angered the US government by releasing thousands of secret diplomatic communications on his website, wouldn't get a fair hearing in Sweden. Here's Tim Friend.
Well, this is a severe blow to Julian Assange and his team. They've argued all along that they don't expect to get a fair trial in Sweden, where, of course, he is accused of sexually assaulting 2 female supporters last August in Stockholm. He denies that. He says that these charges are politically motivated. They're designed to smear his whistleblowing website, WikiLeaks, and to take him out of the action, as it were, to prevent him from exposing more information, which, of course, WikiLeaks has done, many would say, to great effect in recent months. He has to find bail. He is tagged at the moment electronically, and his lawyer has argued that that is demeaning and a contravention of his rights, but he probably will have to continue to wear a tag. But in the meantime, he has to find more sureties. In other words, people who are prepared to pay money into the court to ensure that he does not abscond.
Other news now, and rescuers in New Zealand are still searching for trapped survivors after the massive earthquake which devastated the city of Christchurch on Tuesday, although they do now say it's more of a salvage operation than a rescue operation. Police have now retrieved 98 bodies from the rubble. 220 people, more than that in fact, are still missing. Andrew Thomas is our correspondent in Christchurch.
Officially, hope has not died in Christchurch, but operations are increasingly focused on recovery of bodies rather than the rescue of survivors, the number of those in the temporary mortuary growing hour by hour. A 3-kilometre square block of the city centre is in lockdown as authorities try to make it safe. But on Thursday, media organisations were allowed in, a macabre bus tour taking journalists from one horrific site to the next, past crushed cars, crumpled homes, businesses with their facades ripped off, and the city's cathedral, half the height it was. Among those on the bus, 2 who work for the local television station. It was housed here. The 2 were out in a park shooting an interview about a flower show when the quake hit. They don't think any of their colleagues who were inside here survived.
I'm still asking myself that, why was it me and not my friends? Why was I out of the building when they were? And it's just something that I'll never come to terms with.
Japanese interest focused on the same building, but for different reasons. Inside